Hello everyone, welcome back to the Gaming by Geeks channel. My name's Adam and today it's time for episode 2 of my Transport Tycoon series. Continuing where I left off in episode 1, between that and this I let my money accrue up a little bit and decided maybe if it's good enough for my competitors, it's good enough for me. So I went with some airports. So I found myself a town that's got a decent amount of people, and there was just a nice perfect little cutout on the edge of this town. I thought an airport can go there. So I chucked one in, so there's Tudfield Airport, and did the same again. You want to have a bit of a distance between them, but not too far. So I went within sort of screen range and ended up down here at Nanthwaite Springs. Again, perfect little cutout, just right for an airport. So chuck that in there, and as you can see, passengers are loving it. But the plane actually hasn't delivered any customers yet, so it's just landed off at Tudfield. There it goes. It's picked up its first passengers from there. No, it hasn't, because why would there? There isn't any passengers to pick up, is there? Because that was its first time. So let's let that fly back down. Let's speed the game up a bit. Here it comes. Now you don't have to worry about buildings and stuff like that. Planes generally just clip through them, but you can have plane crashes, and that happens when you have a plane that's too big for the size airport. So these small little airfields will not support a jumbo 747 type thing. It's all these smaller prop air vehicles. So that's picked up its full 65 passengers. Let's just see when it arrives up at Tudfield how much money it's going to make. Is it going to be worth having more? And it's already having a bit of a breakdown issue, so it may not be the most reliable plane. But that made what, £6,000? Not the best. I'm slightly concerned about its reliability. What was its reliability levels? What is this? A Coleman count. So reliability 90%. It should be alright, to be honest. Let's speed it up. Let it land again. Again, is it going to go straight into the depot? No. Okay, it's happier this time. So yeah, it looks like that's going to be okay. So just one trip is enough to cover the running costs for a year. We've got no problems with passengers or mail. So once again, if you've got the money, and I don't know if I do. How much is a plane? 60,000. I've got 90, that's alright. There's no construction required. So I can build a second plane to keep the passengers and the mail requirements happy. And once again, I'm out of money again. Well, I'm down to £30,000. It's not going to be enough to keep me going, so I'm going to let that accrue, and I'm going to go in search of my next thing. Let's see if I can find something that has a good network. Like iron ore to steel to. There's no factories around here, that sort of thing. Let's see if I can find anything. Oh, I haven't found anything that really takes my eye, but here comes another competitor. Findeen Transport starts construction. And they've gone with a road to nowhere. So I'm guessing they're going to be taking the woods here. Where are they going with that? Maybe up here to the sawmill. Be interesting to see what they do with that. Oh wow, there it is. That's where they're going. That's a hefty drive. I mean, that's a long time. It's going to be a long drive for a truck. But then, I suppose, yeah, trucks do spend a lot of time on the road, so makes sense. Right, so money is back up again. Got up to 150,000 now, and I've decided that I'm going to go with a couple of these iron ore mines. They're not the biggest, they're not the best, but together might be able to produce a decent amount. I noticed there's also another one or two down here which I can use, which are very similar in size, and I've got everything I need around here for that. So I've got the iron ore mines together with one station in the middle that can feed the steel mill, which will produce steel, and the steel can then go to the factory, and the factory can then go to Sedale City. I think that's probably a nice little setup. Right, so station in between these two, as you can see, both of the mines are in the blue, which means they'll both feed Sedale City mines. So the steel mill will need two platforms, one for incoming iron ore and one for outgoing steel. So let's chuck that. No, let's put it down the side here. That'll do. Now the inside line will go that way, so we want the outside line to come over here somewhere. Oh, close. Wasn't a bad guess, was it? So let's get another train. Let's go. I mean, that chaining jubilee is working fine with the coal mines, so I don't see any reason why it wouldn't work here too. Let's go with, this time I'm going to go 4, because they do have weight of their own, and they do slow the train down. So you can see an empty one is 19 tons. So by not putting 2 more on, I'm saving it having to lug about almost 40 tons. Which will make it a little bit faster, let's face it, if you're not lugging 40 tons or 38 tons with you. Right, let's see if we're getting a decent amount of iron ore. This train can take now 210 tons. Let's see just how much appears at Sedale City Mines. So we're up to 50 already. 82, yeah, so about 100, so still overdoing it a little bit. So 100, so I could have halved it, but if the production increases, I've got a little bit of a gap there to keep things going. Now around here, are there anything else? Because multiple things can go to a factory. So it'll take livestock, grain and steel to make goods. Don't have to have them all, you can have any combination of those. I see there's a farm down here that's quite small. Oh, there's a farm there, that looks quite big. Big area, doesn't actually output very much. So I might have separate trains or cars, seeing as they're not massive, come down to this factory here. So for the moment I think I'll do cars for, I'm not sure, I'll give it 3 tracks. And we'll pop it on the side here. So the first one can definitely be for the steel mill heel. Can't speak today. So let's join you up. Look at that. Pop a train, again another chainy Jubilee will do just fine. And this time we want goods vans. And I'm not going to give it many, I'm just going to give it 3 tiles worth, which is 5. So let's set you on your way. Now the iron ore is going to the steel mill, it just doesn't actually produce any steel until there's something, and I've realised I've messed that up. That is totally the wrong type of train, isn't it? You turn around. Yeah, why have I given it goods? It's not goods, it's steel. Totally the wrong thing. The factory makes goods, the steel mill makes steel. I want steel trucks. That was a waste of money, wasn't it? Let's make it, but it's not a huge waste of money because now it can actually trigger there. Now it will actually start to make some steel when the train comes back. So how's this doing in terms of cargo? Still got plenty of space, so I don't need to adjust that. Let's get the speed up. There we go. Now that the steel mill is producing steel, the steel train, which can take 100 tons of steel. So again, I judged that quite nicely. Not my first time. Can take all that steel away and deliver that to the factory to make goods. Although it won't make any goods until you actually have a train that's capable of taking those goods away. So perfect. Well on our way to a nice little empire here. So finance wise, despite £100,000 of construction and new vehicles, we still made 62 grand last year. So still doing, well actually we're doing pretty well. And that's going to continue. Now, I've just noticed this train is making a completely useless visit. Because why? Because that's what trains do. They will go from one to the other regardless of whether they got anything to transport. So I am going to make a little change. So I am going to tell this train, when it gets to Suby Cross Woods, wait for a full load. So rather than just grab what's there, it's going to sit there until it has a full 100 tons. That's not necessarily going to save you much money, but it can help you in terms of things like reliability. As long as this iron ore train can keep up and not keep that steel train waiting too long. So that will unload. Now the steel train has got 100 tons. There's still 56 tons left over, and it can go off and deliver its full load as a happy train. It's just a happy little train, just hanging out and having a good time, as Mr. Bob Ross would say. See, it's not too bad. It's not waiting too long. We have a new train available. So when new trains become available, they're offered out to people to test. So you get sort of an early kind of preview I always like to say yes, even if I have no intention of using them. I just do it anyway. So now we've got plenty of steel coming to the factory. We can take the goods produced by the factory to a town. Now there's a lovely cutout here, which I think would make a nice big 4-track station. Boom. That accepts goods. Oh look, there's a new plane available as well. So on the ultra track, oh, not too far. Let's build some rail to, I don't know, that will do. Really doesn't matter which platform right now. So I will expand this and there'll be multiple trains and multiple tracks and signalling and all sorts a bit later. So was that new train ridiculously expensive? Not too bad. It's less than the Chinzu in terms of operating costs and way more powerful. But the running costs is still too much for my liking, so I'll stick with the Cheney, which is working just fine right now. Got a bit ahead of myself there. I've given it orders, but I haven't actually given it any goods vans. This time it actually does need goods vans. So, by the way, I'm pressing delete to close all the windows, in case you're wondering how I do that. You can also, there's lots of different settings. You can click the X. I've got mine set so if I right click on a window it closes it. So that should say congrats, and now hopefully here we should start to see some goods. There it goes. Again, don't know how much there's going to be, so I've given it a guess at 5 trucks. He went in for a quick service even though he's brand new. So you can take 125 crates. I don't see that's going to be a problem. 68 crates so far. There's too few orders. Ooh. Okay. That's being a little bit weird. Sedal City. South, there we go. Not sure what happened there. I think I'm giving him orders to the depot. That's why he went in the depot straight away. It wasn't a service. It was just me being stupid. Now, again, because there's nothing for him to do there, I might as well say when he gets to Sedal City South, get a full load. So sit there and wait until you've got enough. So look, he's now waiting. It's 57, 100. Now he's not doing too well at the moment because he hasn't really done much. So he's only got what, £700 in profit. Let's see how much he gets for a full load. Should be a few thousand. 60, 40, 20, done. 3,800. More than enough. Again, that basically covers the running costs for the year. So 2 of those in a year and he's in profit. Now I've got this Sedal City station with a lot of platforms. So it's time to start building a little transport or a passenger service. So we've got Acton Green. Let's give you 2 platforms. And the reason I'm building track immediately is so that the city doesn't, build buildings where I want to put the tracks later on. So my plan is to have a proper 2-lane train that sort of goes along to all of the places, picks up along the route, and then turns around and comes back. So we'll have it go from Sedao City, maybe come out to Bronborough. Now this is going to be a slightly trickier one, so you will have to do something like that. And like this. Don't really know where that's going to join, but again, not too far out. You as you go along, you start to work out how these join up, and it's a lot easier. So if I go from Sedao City to Bronborough and then Acton Green. Don't see any reason why that shouldn't be a problem. Now to dive into the slightly trickier, well, not trickier bits, but things can get dangerous if you do this wrong. I'm going to start chopping up and crossing tracks and making this all generally look daunting, but don't worry, it's not going to be that bad. Now, there's very few signals that you can have. They're all what's called path signals. You can turn on other types of signals, but path signals are the easiest type to use. They allow a train to reserve a piece of track to allow it to get to its destination without crashing. So trains can basically, they can almost, touch each other but not actually crash, because that section of the track has been reserved. So it can be quite tricky when you're watching it, just hoping that they don't crash, and somehow they don't, because as I say, they've reserved the piece of track that they need and they just go for it. So if I put down signals here, and here, in order to cross this junction, they have to reserve a piece of track first, and that will stop any other trains from using that piece of track until they are clear. So nice simple way of doing it. I generally give them access to all platforms rather than trying to direct them down one, just because it makes logistics a bit easier. If trains can get in and out on any platform, it's not like the real world where certain trains go from certain platforms. On this game it doesn't matter, as long as a train gets to any platform in the station, it's happy and will pick up passengers, mail, deliver goods, whatever. So that's that done. So I've got Sedao City, Bronborough, Acton Green, excuse me, where next? Aberstable, Pinborough. Now annoyingly you can't rotate the screen on this because it's all designed in this isometric view from one angle, so you can't actually rotate the screen. So sometimes if you want to see what's behind, on the options and settings button there is a transparent buildings option, and that just lets you see through them so you can see what it is that you're actually doing. A very helpful button, especially when the towns and cities get pretty big. So let's put, it's a big station for a small town, but you know, it is what it is. So from Acton Green, if that loops around the back, I'll skip Frondon Green because it's tiny. Yeah, it's 5 times smaller than even Pinborough, which is also tiny. So let's have you loop around town. You'll see why I'm doing 2 tracks in a little bit, in case you're wondering. There is a reason for it. I want to try and avoid the roads if I can. That's a bit better. No. That can go to there, that one goes there. Now you want to be a little bit careful. If you start this too early, all this building is really quite expensive. And there's no trains running yet, because it'd be a bit of a nightmare because there's no end to the track. So you need to make sure you have plenty of money before you actually start doing this. I've got plenty at the minute. I've got 360,000. I'm counting. Look at it, it's going up ridiculous amounts now. So I'm okay for the moment. Where does this go? Should it go up to New Whithatton-on-Sea? I think so. There's a big gap for it there, isn't there? Pop that there. Both of these come down. There you go. That's what I meant earlier about the sort of cliff edge that it generates when you build on a slightly wonky slope. And so let's take it up to New Whithatton-on-Sea, and again we'll make that because it's a nice square 4x4. Now you also notice that I always put a straight bit of track before turning after a station. There is a reason for that, which I will demonstrate in a bit. Let's just knock that out of the way. Perfect. Is there anything else going to be in the way? Don't really like it when it does that, but too expensive to mess about and try to fix it. Let's have these go to the middle two for the moment. Again, I will have them go to any. Did I get that right? No, got that wrong. That's better. Excellent. And again, I'm going to have track down to stop the town from expanding in such a way that I won't be able to build track in the future. I know it's cheeky, but it's something you have to do, annoyingly. So let's have every track linked to every place, so any train can go anywhere. Just a chunk there. That looks alright, isn't it? And boom, 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 boom. If a signal is facing the wrong direction, just click on it again with the signal placer and it moves it around. So now I can have trains that run on this fantastically long, ridiculous network. But there's no, I haven't put any crossover points after any of the stations, and there is a reason for that too. It's because I want to have, like in real life, when you have a dual track system. One track goes one way, one track goes the other. And that's where this one-way path signal comes in. So what I want to do is remove these signals here and put in one-way path signals. So in this case I want to have the track on the bottom. Let's have that as the outgoing one. So in that case I would have this set up. So as you can see, there's a sign, a signal facing this side of the track, and on the other side is, which you can kind of see with the little things, basically a no entry sign. So it's saying trains cannot come this way, but they can come this way, and this is the opposite. So there's a signal facing this way to say you can come in, and there's a no entry saying you can't go out. So now trains can go one way and one way only. And because at the moment this is one giant long track, it will actually have to do a path find all the way along. So even though it's one way, I still will only be able to have one train on this entire track up to here, where it meets one of these other signals. So, excuse me, I need to put down some more signals. So that way I can have multiple trains on the same track as long as they're going in the same direction. So if I do that, for example, I can have a train in this section of track and a train in this section of the track. As long as I get these signals the right way around. If at any point I do this wrong, it's just going to fail miserably. Oh, we've got a plane crash. We've got a plane crash. Mark the airport. One of my competitors has had a plane crash and lost the lives of 50 people. Oh, that's going to hamper him. Ratings have gone down. Look at that. Appalling. That's not good. How's mine doing? Well, they're still at 30 something grand, so it must be something going on. That's good. Oh, despite that, they're still poor. Poor and poor, but not 2%, 29%. What I think I'll do while I'm here is perhaps clone these, because there's plenty of passengers here. Just bang out a couple more, and hopefully that will pick up a little bit of the slack and increase the ratings a little bit. So let's let that plane take off. And this one can quickly pick up its passengers. In theory, there should be another plane any moment now appear in view to pick up some other passengers. Here it comes. But I've got sidetracked. Back to my other. No, I've forgotten again. Where was it all? You know what? I don't even know where it was. There it is. There it is. I knew I'd find it. So we were putting in one-way signals, weren't we? Hey, you can put signals on angles like this. That's not a problem. And this is why I tend to put straights afterwards, so that way you can have a train lining up outside the station, and a train in the station, and a train just gone outside the station, all at the same time. So let's just get a bunch of these set up. Hopefully this is all correct in terms of which track is the right one. I think I've got it the right way around. Okay. you, like this. This is how I like it. So you can, as you can see, you can have plenty of movement there for the trains. Now, one thing you don't want to do is dawdle too much, because all the time that you've got a station down, the ratings with the local governments, which I'll show you in a moment when we finish this first, I guess, they will start to go down. You build a station, the local council, if you will, if you're British, will not like that, and so they'll start to moan and complain. Your ratings will go down, and eventually they can and they will ban you, and you won't be able to build anything more. So if you look on a city name or a town name and click the local authority, you can see already Chinstock transport is poor, because I built a station and nothing has happened. Whereas Sedale, they think I'm good because I built a station and they're getting goods from it, so they're happy. So now that I've actually got a little station, a line, if you will, a train line, let's pull up my depots, plop a depot down, facing the right way ideally. Point, there we go, that'll do. Let's build some trains. Now with passengers are fussy, so you want to get the passengers between stations as quickly as possible. So you're going to want the fastest train that you can find, and for that, for me, it's the SH8P, the new one. So let's buy one of them. We'll put down a couple of mail vans, and the rest will all be passengers, and I'll go for the full 5 blocks. So I've got a full-size train that will fill up this entire platform, and you will go to here, then you will go to Bronborough, then you will go to Acton Green, and then Pinborough, and then Aberstable, and finally New Whithaddon-on-Sea, which is a stupid name because they're not necessarily, I suppose they're close to the sea, but that's not really the sea, it's just a lake. But never mind, that's just picking holes at nothing. Okay, so off the train goes. Now in theory, he should come in, he should trigger Sedale City to accept or start delivering passengers, and as he has done, he has gone down this lower track on his way to the next station. Let's speed that up. He stopped at Brontborough. Now I know this is going to be a quite profitable line, so I'm going to actually, no, what I've forgotten to do is his return journey. So he went to New Whithaddon-on-Sea, then he needs to come back in the reverse direction. So Aberstable, Pointborough, Acton Green, Bronborough, Sedale City. Now I want to clone him and set him off. Say him, I don't know why, giving the trains the sex now, but never mind. He will now follow in that one's footsteps on the same line. This one, this time, should have a fair amount of passengers. So 202 out of 280, not bad. And again, he's gone on that lower track. Train 5 has duplicate orders, okay. Yes, it does. That's fine. That's how it should be. Don't see any issue with that. He'll get over it. There we go. This train is already earning decent money. Decent volumes of passengers, even from Bromborough there, which is quite small. He's just picked up 167. Now, he's going to get a full load there. It's 250 passengers. So he's pretty much going to be full. Let's see. 145, 180, 215, 250, 275, 280. Yes, full load. Oops. Yes, also, you accidentally did it there, but you can rename trains should you want to. Or need to. Here comes the crossover. Looks like they're gonna double up at Pinborough. It's unfortunate because they're not going to have enough for both. So one train here is going to end up with not enough. But yeah, so one's got lots. Oh, now we got a breakdown. Nothing you can do about that. The trains will break down occasionally. They will fix themselves, as it has done there, and it will just carry on. It's just an annoyance. You can turn breakdowns off in the settings, but I tend to leave them on just because it adds an element of realism. This duplicate orders message isn't going to go away, is it? Can I just want to turn that off? If that keeps popping up, I'll have to deal with that. But that's it. So that these trains do their thing, and between the two of them, should earn a tidy profit. So I don't know why I did total cargo there. So 23 and 7 respectively. They should both do about the same, because almost every station is going to have a fairly large amount, especially as there's going to be a fair gap between them all, and that one's only just coming back. And obviously as the trains move people around, the sizes of the towns will increase as long as all the time that they've got some form of service going on. So eventually, I mean, Sedell City is going to be massive and take up this entire window, and they'll merge with Acton Green, which will also grow. Right, this is annoying me now, so I'm going to delete all of these, aren't I? Train 5 and train 6. Not sure why it's being weird like this, but that's what it is. It's the bottom one. That's what it was. It was me being a bit stupid. Because Sedell City, and then it starts back at the top again, Sedell City. That was the duplicate. Never mind. They will automatically sort themselves out because they're not non-stop trains, which you can set. So when they get to New Whitehall-on-Sea and start coming back, they will automatically stop at Aberstable and add that into their orders automatically. It will show on here, but it won't show like that. It'll say sort of implicit or something like that, meaning it was added in. But either way, they will still go about their business quite happily. So what I'm going to do I'm going to get another one, and I want to let this one get a suitable distance away before I let him loose. So let go down. Because you don't want them, again, you don't want them to be all piling up, you don't want them all in the same station at the same time, because stations further away will start to lose out. It might also be a good idea, as I've just noticed, there's a lot of mail building up. So what I've done in the past is just have solely a mail train. Doesn't pick up any passengers, it just does mail. Mail is one of those ones, but you need to deliver quickly. I think if you're too slow, like passengers, it will complain, or you won't get as much money. Well, despite almost 400,000 of construction, I still made a profit. That was a good year. On this button here, which I haven't spoken about, you can get all your graphs, and one of them is the cargo payment rates. And you can see how much money you get depending on how long it's been in transit. And as you can see here, mail is good money, but then, like passengers, tapers off quite quickly. So you've got to be, it's got to be delivered quickly. Otherwise, you really start to lose a lot of money. Whereas some things like coal don't necessarily drop as much. That one does, though, doesn't it? Yeah, goods is another one that drops quite dramatically. But again, I think that's enough for another episode. Again, if you like these videos, please give it a like. If you really like, please subscribe, and I'll see you for episode 3 next time. Thanks for watching.